Tuesday, the 31st of July, also marking exactly 1 week of President Evans Atta Mills' demise. Ghana is mourning and has been soaked in tears today. We bring you our comprehensive coverage of events in the capital and beyond. My name is Evans Mensah.
And I am Kemini Nyamani Amano. In our first story, President John Mahama has called for the support of all Ghanaians to enable him deliver on the heavy responsibility thrust on him with the demise of his predecessor, Professor John Evans Atta Mills. The president joined thousands of Ghanaians who gathered at the Fort Sutherland Children's Park for the one-week commemoration of Professor Mills' death. Gifty Ando Apia has more.
The mood at the Fort Sutherland Park was generally calm, though the place was vibrant with numerous activities. While dignitaries and delegates were pouring their heart out in tribute to the late professor, some were wailing and just couldn't control themselves from the agony they feel inside. This lady, paying tribute on behalf of the Greater Accra branch of the NDC, broke down and wept uncontrollably before she could finish her message. It took the intervention of others to console her. Some, in their own wisdom, portray moods that may make one wear a smile at least. The National Chief Imam, Nuhu Sharbutu, was there to offer prayers for the country. Traditional rulers from near and far joined in one accord in remembrance of the day Mills joined the ancestors. Clad in their black and red apparel, they watched proceedings in solemn mood. The grounds got charged when Dr. Eckhouse Biogadra arrived and was in a handshake with the traditional rulers. Indeed, the death of Professor Mills has brought unity to Ghanaians, as reiterated in most of the tributes. The thunderous cheers and welcome which met President Mahama when he arrived at the grounds are enough to tell you the bond and unity present on the day. Just after President Mahama left the grounds, the clouds gathered, but there were no downpours. Fort Sutherland Children's Park saw an interplay of sorrow and joy, thanks to the memories of Professor Mills.
All right, so that was 8 days after the death of Mills being commemorated across the country, but you saw pictures from the Fort Sutherland Children's Park. We move on to some other stories.
Well, information reaching John News suggests the final resting place of the late President John Evans Fifi Atta Mills will be at the Flagstaff House. Director of Public Affairs at the Parliament, John Skublino, disclosed this to John News in an exclusive interview.
The Planning Committee, chaired by Mr. Kofi Tutu-Bikwache, was in the House this afternoon to confer with the Speaker and the leadership over the burial arrangements. And one thing that was clear at the meeting was the burial ground. According to him, the committee members have looked at various options, and the decision taken by the committee is that the late president should be buried at the Flagstaff House. There has been some form of consultation. He believes strongly that this is a national affair, and therefore it should not be left in the hands of a few people. And so what the committee has been doing is to hold meetings, and that is why the committee members were in the House this afternoon to hold consultations with the Speaker and the leaders. And the Speaker and the leaders seem to agree with the decision of the committee. I know for sure that the committee agrees with the Speaker and the leaders' decision that he should be buried at the Flagstaff House.
Joy News will keep you updated when the Speaker of Parliament confirms the final resting place of President Mills at the Flagstaff House.
Now, President John Mahama has urged the whole nation to come together and have the heart to forgive ahead of the burial of late President John Evans at Mills. He appealed to the family of former President Mills to forgive all those who vilified him while in office. President Mahama was speaking at the one-week remembrance of the death of Professor Mills at the A. Sutherland Children's Park.
We have had our differences in this country. We have had our differences in government and in our party. Those differences have resulted in harsh words being said to each other. But the good book teaches us that we must have a heart to forgive. President Mills has paid the ultimate price for this country. And I urge all of us in our country, in our party, and in the family to find the heart to forgive. It's not easy, it's difficult, but let's find it in our hearts to forgive. And I appeal especially to the late president's family. People would have said very harsh things to him. People would have vilified him. But God says, vengeance is mine, say the Lord.
He appealed to traditionalists to forgive funeral planning committee of the late president and work with them to ensure smooth burial of President Mills.
We've put in place a funeral committee. This event has never happened in our country before. We've never had a situation where a sitting president of our country has died in office. The funeral committee is doing its best. They might make mistakes, but let us contribute our collective wisdom to them, so that they can make this funeral a success.
President Mills's death one-week celebration was observed nationwide, where a minute's silence was observed at exactly 2:15 p.m.
From the A. Sutherland Children's Park, let's go to Parliament, because the House today observed the week celebration of the late President, Professor John Evans at Mills. Members of the House were all clad in black and red as they mourned the late professor.
Sitting commenced at 10:45 in the morning. After prayers, correction of votes and proceedings, public business commenced. On the other paper, the Minister of Finance and Economic Planning was supposed to present papers on the transfer pricing regulation and custom excise duties and other taxes amendment bill. The Finance Committee of the House was also billed to present their report on the supplementary appropriation bill. But the House suspended sitting to attend to the one-week celebration of the demise of the late president.
Madam Speaker, as soon as we adjourn this morning, or we suspend sitting this morning, we will be visiting the widow of the former president to pay our respects to her. We hope to come back by 1:30 and reassemble in this chamber. And then the choristers of Parliament will treat her to some light music, some funeral music. Then at 2:15, we will observe a minute silence for and behalf of our late president.
Some colleagues of ours, on behalf of Parliament, have left to the birthplace of our former president, Kofi Otuam, to commiserate with the family and to do what tradition demands of an occasion such as today.
Sitting resumed at 2 p.m. with the parliamentary choir paying tribute to the late president as they sang patriotic songs. At 2:15 p.m., the House observed a minute's silence to honor the late president. Sitting was adjourned till tomorrow, 10 a.m., as the House paid a courtesy call on the president, John Dramani Mahama, to mourn with him at the Castle Osu.
Now to the eastern region, but still on President Mills' one-week commemoration. The Council of Muslim Chiefs and the Koforidua Zungu community has called on the leadership of the National Democratic Congress to extend their sympathies on the death of President Mills.
Ali Haruna Kurumi, who recalled the first day he met the late President Atta Mills at Peduase Lodge.
When I met him at Peduase Lodge, I told him about Zungu. So he said, Inshallah, he will do everything for us. So about 1 month, he sent the DC, came to me, and I showed him everything we want in Zungu. So he started doing the streets and then promised to put the light, and promised to put the kutar and everything. So I will take this to remember our president. May he rest in peace.
The Eastern Regional Chief Imam Alhaji Yusuf Hamdani Suleimana, who was also part of the delegation, described the late president as a peaceful and hard-working person. He urged all Muslims across the country to use the Ramadan fasting to pray for peace before, during and after the 2012 general elections.
We pray to Almighty God, God, we are on a fasting time. Anytime we are telling our brothers Muslims at anywhere, whenever they wake up for a fasting, they should pray hard after our president. We live peace and everything will be successful up to the 2012 election.
The secretary to the Council of Muslim Chiefs in the Koforidua Zungu community, Alhaji SSS Ahmed, expressed his condolence on behalf of all Muslims in the region.
The Council of Zungu Muslim Chiefs and the ulama to express our deepest regret and sorrow for the death of our father, brother, professor, our everything.
The second vice chairman of NDC, Alhaji Suleimana Mahama, thanked the Council of Muslim Chiefs for mourning with the NDC. Haruna Yusuf Wumpini reporting for Joy News.
And still in Accra, traders at the Mokola shopping mall in a solemn ceremony today marked the 1 week of the passing of President Mills. The program was organized by NDC members at the mall.
Some traders found it difficult to control their emotions. As some wept, others decided to express their feelings through music.
I think this, the president's death has united us in this market, because since we started this organization, the CPP members, MPP members, everyone is involved.
The occasion, according to managers of the shopping mall, is to rekindle the unity among traders who, before the death of the president, were divided along party lines.
Ever since this unfortunate incident happened, the comments from all the tenants here are very reconciliatory. I think we should continue in that spirit, even as we prepare ourselves towards the election.
The traders were advised on the need to maintain peace at the mall.
Now, President John Mahama has called for the support of all Ghanaians to enable him deliver on the heavy responsibility thrust on him with the demise of his predecessor, Professor John Evans Atta Mills. The president joined thousands of Ghanaians who gathered at the Ifo Sutherland Children's Park for the 1 week commemoration of Professor Mills' death. Kifti Yando Apia has more.
There was no such thing as the Ghana time today, as scores of people had already gathered at the grounds by 8 a.m., 2 hours ahead of schedule. There was a beautiful exhibition of pure Ghanaian tradition and culture as chiefs and traditional rulers trooped in. Muslim chiefs, market women associations, and many unidentified groups were all represented at the commemoration service. Earlier, the mayor of Accra, Alfred Okovandapoy, who is also mourning his departed wife, reiterated the need to learn from the humble nature of the departed president as a people. Regional Minister Nilai Afotiagbo explained to the media that concerns raised by the people of Gamashi have been duly sorted out.
The venue where the president will be laid in state, the venue where the funeral rites will be done, and where we are now is within the Osuklote area, where they have given people the rights to come out or play music or do whatever they can do. It is not like the Gamashi area. Gamashi shares boundary with Osuklote, and we are within the premises of Osuklote. So we haven't faulted. As I speak to you now, we have almost all their chiefs and their queen mothers with us here. This shows clearly that I am not just saying some sweet words to you or telling you what will make you happy, but their actions and their presence shows that is the truth that I'm telling you.
The president was received by government officials present at the ceremony and arrived to a rather thunderous cheer from the overflowing crowd. And then a minute's silence in honor of the departed president. For him, it was a day of few words to avoid breaking down in tears. He said the former president has paid an ultimate price for the entire nation to come together as a more unified front.
People would have said very harsh things to him. People would have vilified him. But God says, "Vengeance is mine, say the Lord." It is not for us human beings to judge. God is the ultimate judge. President Mills is dead and gone. Let's, in memory of him, forgive any hurt or any insults that were thrown at him. You never know the value of an asset you have until you lose it. While President Mills was alive, he was vilified and insulted. Today, in death, we realize the compassion and the vision that this man had for Ghana. And so all we can do is to mourn him together.
He called for support and collaboration for the funeral planning committee, especially from the family of the late president. Gifty Ando Apia, Joy News.
And we stay with the mourning a while longer because the sister of the late President Mills has appealed to the extended family to avoid divisions and respect government decision concerning his burial. According to Mercy Arabakwashi, the family will not countenance splinter groups emerging within the family who simply want to drive a wedge among members of the family. Now, he was speaking to our correspondent. We have details of that shortly. But Mrs. Kwashi made a call during a ceremony in Cape Coast to mark 1 week of the president's death.
The ceremony held at the Victoria Park in Cape Coast was attended by thousands of people, including members of parliament, the clergy, Asafo companies, and the general public. While expressing her appreciation for the sympathy and support from all Ghanaians, Mrs. Kwashi admonished everyone, especially Professor Mills' extended family, to strive for unity.
But I want to make one important appeal that my brother would have made. We always preached peace and please for the respect of my brother. I know that there are various groups who are now trying to bring divisions, especially our own people, our own relatives. Please, our brother surrendered himself to the country, and we have to respect that.
The program was interspersed with tributes from the clergy, Political parties and civil society group plus poetry recitals from queens in the region about the good works of the late president.
Not just the president, but all his lieutenants, to regard their tenure of office as an opportunity to literally sacrifice themselves to ensure a better quality of life for the nation.
Meanwhile, a number of activities were held in the metropolis and other districts to mark the day, while almost everyone on the streets were in mourning clothes.
Now, President Mahama has confirmed his choice of a vice president as he named Central Bank Governor Kwesi Arthur. Now, Arthur has beaten competition from renowned economist Dr. Kwesi Botwe to annex the prestigious position.
Governor Kwesi Botwe Arthur was born on 29th April 1951 and hails from Cape Coast. He attended Infansipim School, Cape Coast, and the University of Ghana, Legon, where he obtained a BSc and MSc in economics. Mr. Arthur has working experience in teaching and research. In 1974, he was a research assistant with the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research. He lectured in economics at the University of Ghana between 1980 and 1988. He also has teaching experience from the Anambra State College of Education in Nigeria. In politics, Mr. Arthur was a special assistant with the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning between 1983 and 1986. He was a deputy minister at the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. He has also consulted for Sigma 1 Corporation Ghana as a senior fiscal economist in Trade and Investment Reform Project, a USAID-funded project with the aim of enhancing Ghana's export competitiveness. Mr. Arthur has also worked with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark in the preparation of the guidance note, Financial Integration into Relevant Ghanaian Structures, a review of Ghana's public financial system, which was in cooperation with PM Consult Copenhagen. Still as a consultant, Mr. Arthur has worked with Water Directorate of the Ministry of Works and Housing in the preparation of its strategic investment plan for the Community Water and Sanitation Agency between 2003 and 2004. Until the confirmation as the president's choice of a vice president, he served on several boards and committees.
Let's now get more on this decision. I'm delighted to say that I've been joined on the line right now by the spokesperson to President Mahama, John Jinapor. Thank you very much for your time here on Joy News. So, what informed this choice?
Thank you. Hello?
Hello, John. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's better now. Can you please repeat your question?
Great. So, what informed the choice of Mr. Arthur as the vice president?
The credentials that you read clearly puts him in a very favorable position. If you're looking for somebody to partner you, you would certainly be looking for somebody with a rich experience. And Mr. Arthur comes to the table with so many years of experience. He's worked as a technocrat, he's worked as a politician, he's shown leadership, he's shown management skills and capacity. And so certainly, if you are a president and you want somebody to partner you to serve the people well, I believe that you would not go beyond a person like Mr. Arthur. Others are equally qualified, but eventually it's one person that you would select, and certainly His Excellency felt that he is the right person.
You have an election to win, also you have a government to run. Which of the considerations were overriding? The elections on December 7 or the running of the government between now and December 7?
The most important thing is to serve the people of Ghana. The most important thing is that you have a mandate to take the people of Ghana through a certain process towards bettering their life. And so His Excellency's main priority is to serve the people of Ghana. It is out of this service that the people, when they see that he's doing well, would want to give him another mandate. And so for him, His priority is to provide selfless, dedicated, and committed service to the people of Ghana, and he believes that Mr. Atta can partner him to serve the people of Ghana well. And so that is the most important consideration.
Would I be safe to assume that he will automatically double as his flag bearer?
I think we haven't gotten there yet. We are yet to go to Congress for endorsement and acclamation of the president, after which we will take the next step. We do not want to rush. We do not want to push things beyond limits. As I said, he's even going through the process of approval. Let's give him the maximum support, and when he's approved, all of us should put our shoulders behind the wheel. There is much work to be done, and that is more important than the other issues looking forward. When we get to the bridge, I want to believe that we would cross that bridge.
Now, Mr. Jinapor, any idea when the president will submit this name to Parliament officially? Because Article 6010 mandates him to do that.
Indeed, God willing, tomorrow morning, an official communique will be issued to Parliament. A formal letter of appointing him will be sent to Parliament, and we believe that when Parliament receives it, they would begin the process of approval. And barring any unforeseen occurrence, we want to be sure that he's approved, and then he can commit himself to the work. So we do the work.
My final question, just before you take leave of us. Some have suggested, what would you say to those who suggest that the choice you've made today, if it comes to the crunch on December 7, indeed if the Congress confirms him or indeed is put up for consideration by Congress, will be one of his key disadvantages being that he lacks that political mettle? What would you say to those who put that argument forward?
I think the chief executive is the president. The chief executive is John Mahama, and he will determine the way forward. And so if there is anybody who will be on the ballot box, God willing, it will be President Mahama. And he has demonstrated as a minister, as an MP, as acting president, as vice president, and in diverse capacities, he has demonstrated that he is a leader. In these circumstances, what you need is a leader who can garner the resources of the country vis-a-vis the human resource towards ensuring that you have maximum benefit. And Mr. Mahama has demonstrated that he is fully fit and fully qualified for that position. Don't also forget that Mr. Mizaita has been in a political position before. He's been a minister, and so he has that political advantage in terms of experience. He's also been a technocrat. He is currently the governor of the Bank of Ghana. And so he comes to partner Mr. Mahama with a very rich experience, and we have confidence in the two. And so he lacks no experience at all, looking at it from any angle, in terms of whether being a technocrat or being a politician. He has that experience, and given the day, we believe that he can do very well.
Thank you very much. John Jinapor is spokesperson to President Mahama. Join us there confirming one key thing, that indeed the man has been chosen as a Vice President, Kemeni, and also that tomorrow we are going to see an official letter written to Parliament. Right. And Parliament will have to do one of two things, really, and that's what the debate is going to be, whether they are going to basically vote on the floor of Parliament or they are going to subject him to some sort of vetting in the public domain, and the minority and the majority, they're split on that. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Absolutely.
Right. Now, away from that, there was general grief among top officials who thronged to the State House here in Accra to mark the one-week celebration of former President Professor John Evans Atta Mills. Many described the late president as a man of virtue and peace, and called on Ghanaians to use this time of grieving to unite and maintain peace in the country.
The State House in Accra was totally swarmed with red and black colors. A flexi signboard bearing the image of the former president was positioned at the forecourt of the State House to enable mourners and sympathizers to lay wreaths in honor of his memory. Among the dignitaries who trooped to the State House to mark the week of Professor Mills' demise and to sign a book of condolences included the Omahini of Doman traditional area, Osajifo Ajimabedu II. He described the death of the late president as a big blow to the nation.
You can see from the man that unassuming leadership that humility, service to God, that is the
Now, the Royal Regent of Dagbon, Kampuyeni Na Abdullah Yakubu Andani, has led a team of chiefs from Dagbon to sign a book of condolence to mourn with the family of the late President John Evans Atta Mills at the Regional Coordinating Council in Tamale.
The regent, Kampakuyina Abdullahi Andani, said he was profoundly shocked to hear about the sudden demise of President John Evans Atta Mills on Tuesday. He described Professor Mills as a true friend of Dagbon and the northern region. He said the greatest tribute to pay the memory of the late president is to deepen respect for the rule of law and also to emerge from this year's elections more united. As Dagbon custom demanded, the Kampakuyina presented a ram and an amount of 25 Ghana cedis to the Northern Regional Minister Moses Mabengba for the president's burial. Mr. Bukari Magbenga thanked the delegation and the gesture and informed them of burial arrangements for the late president. The Royal Regent of Dagbon later on signed the Book of Condolence to mourn with the family of the late president and the former First Lady, Dr. Na Adu Mills. The chief of Tamale, Bupena Al-Hassan Abdullahi, also signed the Book of Condolence and later on paid tribute to the late president and his family at his palace.
Now, parliamentarians visited the former First Lady, Mrs. Nadu Mills, at her residence to mourn with her on the one-week celebration of her late husband. Now, Joy News cameras were there to capture the visit.
The House divided itself into two groups. The first group went to the birthplace and family of the late president to mourn with them. The second group visited the former First Lady at her residence to offer their continued support to her and her family. Led by the leadership on both sides of the House, Cletus Avoka and Osechi Mensah Bonsu, they presented 10 crates of assorted minerals, 10 crates of beer, 10 crates of Guinness and a box of schnapps to the family as a token to help in catering for the numerous visitors who come to mourn with them. Some members of Parliament shared some thoughts with Joy News.
When we came to Parliament today, you could see that Parliament, we are all one. You can't see any difference among all of us. We have just gone to show our condolence of the 1 week to the widow of the late president, and you could see that we, the parliamentarians, are just show. So what I would say to Ghanaians is that I hope this death will make us one people. Of course, when I say one people, that doesn't mean that unity in diversity. There will always be a criticism. Criticism is different from insult. Let's get the difference. The idea that you are in government, you should expect criticism.
I've also heard that a lady NDC personnel in the north has drank her head out and she's dead that same day. No, we should mourn. But our lives are needed to mourn him to the last. And then we take it as a cue to also position ourselves so well so that in future, when we are also called in the same manner, people will have a good story to tell about us. I wish all of us condolences, and I pray that the good Lord will continue to prepare us, give us all the resources that we will need for this funeral. So what we do is genuinely for people to see that we have lost a gem.
A mighty tree has really fallen, and as we know, His Excellency the President is a man of humor. He respects each and every scum of humanity. You see, when you are voted into office as a president, you become the property for the whole country. You preside over the whole country. But it is through these political parties that gives you the chance to become president. So when you're in politics and you're in your party, that's where the bashing goes. But then it has to be a constructive criticism. I think we, the LP, have been very constructive in terms of taking responsibility over the pace of this country.
The 8th day actually marks the day when you really understand that the person has actually passed on to another world. And that is also the time when the family sits and decides on a day for the burial and funeral rites. On this occasion, because the man was our president, the state has taken over the funeral arrangements, and indeed his burial date, I believe, has been announced. And the funeral celebrations cover the 8th to the 10th. So today, we in Parliament went to pay or to express our sympathy and condolences to the bereaved family.
On the issue of the Ghana youth threats, this is what they had to say.
They should allow the president to rest in peace because we don't have time. We are entering to elections. We are in August. Today is 31st. Tomorrow is 1st August. The September, October, November, just 3 months to election. So at least customs are good, but I think we'll let them shield this customs so that the president, will be given a befitting burial.
I am not part of the people who are setting the date for the funeral, but I think whoever did that have all the reasons. I know there might be Ghanaians amongst them who know what is ahead of them, and the planning is done in Accra, the head of the Ghana state, where Homo and other things arrive. I think they might not have left out the chiefs and the others. I think they might have genuine reasons for doing that. In any case, the young men also have the cause to complain, but they will take all that into consideration, and at the end of it all, a fitting date is set for a fitting burial and funeral.
Certainly, they need to be spoken to because the state has decided. Ghana is part of the state, and I think other heads of states have been informed of the arrangements. We cannot change it. So whatever it is, traditionally needs to be done, and quite a few things can be done when you appease our ancestors. So I don't think that should, at this point in time, bring problems to us at all.
I will plead with the youth that to accommodate that this is, if it's a private situation, then no drumming, no noise making, and therefore we can hold, a family can hold the body. But since this is the president of the Republic of Ghana, this is a situation whereby the nation need to move on and to really have some firm leadership, because until really we bury the president, it will be very difficult for even the vice presidential candidate, the now president of the Republic of Ghana, to go around his normal duties.
The leadership of the House pledged their continued support to the former First Lady through these trying times.
You're still watching Joy News, and you're welcome to the business segment. In Business Live tonight, several traders and customers at Makola Market were donned in red apparel to mark the 1 week passing of former President Mills. While some smart traders took advantage of the occasion to make some money, others just complained about low patronage. Francisca Seiram de Souza was at the Makola Market in Accra.
This is a long view of the Makola Market today, 31st of July. The ambience sound varies from one spot to the other, but the dominant color remains the same, red. A closer view shows how money and items were exchanging hands, while others displayed a portrait of the late president. These men and women, knowing the relevance of red and black in Ghanaian mourning culture, are selling pieces of red lining for 50 pesos and 1 cedi. Some were even selling the same piece for 2 cedis. From the look of things, business is good.
2 cedi. Bakupe, no, last 1 cedi. 5 cedi.
1 hour per 1 hour per price be no more because Ghana of say papa no more done. Business fine. One only here. One time more. 1 town be more. 1 town be more. 1 fair yala.
While these women tried to make the best of the moment, traders of everyday items like garden eggs, tilapia, salted beef, spices and cooking utensils danced and while away time complaining of low patronage.
And that dear, because obi any abre, ya papa ye, yet who fear no pass I am touching my yen, and they are yam. It's your dad, dear cry, and dear crying high. If it's a papa,
most women stayed away from their favorite hairpieces, cloth, and jewelries, while fancy spectacles and eyeshadows in NDC colors dominated purchase at the market.
Hello there, I'm Rashida Kadiri and I bring you the latest in the world of sports, and we start with football, and tributes continue to pour in for Ghana's late President John Evans Atta Mills, and some members of the Ghana Football Association were at the State House earlier today to pay their condolence by signing his book of condolence.
The Ghana Football Association signed a book of condolence for the late President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Professor John Evans Atta Mills, at the State House in Accra. Members of the football fraternity were present to sign the book of condolence for the great loss the entire Ghana experienced a week ago. According to the acting president of the GFA, Fred Krenzel, who is in charge due to the president's Olympic assignment, said the death of the president is a great blow to the sports world because Professor Mills was considered a sportsman.
The ex-president was a sportsman. Also, he was a footballer. He looked after the team so well. I remember very well when the team went to South Africa for the World Cup. He came into the dressing room and shared a prayer with the whole team when we're going to play against United States of America. And what he said was, you will win your game. Lo and behold, we won our game against USA.
Other members of the football world like Bricum Chelsea's Odrosafu and Kotoko's Jerry Asari were not left out as they shared their tribute with Joy Sports.
It's a great loss to everybody, especially those in sports. As far as this country is concerned, I think they can't write the history of sports in Ghana without mentioning the former president. I mean, it's a big blow to the sports fraternity, and it's a great loss. But we just wish that the good Lord will keep him safe wherever he is right now. I think.
Away from Ghana, we switch our attention to London, where Ghana's amateur boxer Sulemana Tete mounted the ring a while ago in the men's lightweight 49-kilogram boxing division round of 32 against Puerto Rican Anthony Ortiz Marcano in the South Arena 2. Let's now go onto the phone lines and speak to my colleague Tony Bebley, who has been monitoring the Olympic Games for Joy Sports. Hello, Tony.
Hi, Rashida.
What was the verdict with Sulemana Tete and Rican Anthony Ortiz Marcano?
I think that Suleiman Atete lost terribly when he lost by 22 points at the Excel Arena. So that is a third defeat for Ghana in the Olympic Games. So if I remember, Judoka Emmanuel also lost to his opponent, and as well as Emmanuel Dogbe. So Ghana has recorded a third defeat in boxing when Suleiman Atete also lost by 6 points to 20 to his Puerto Rico counterpart.
I see, Tony. So with all these defeats, it means that Duke Micah is Ghana's only medal hopeful. So what's the mood like in camp with the other athletes?
Yes, but as you know, that is the only boxer that for the final three that we have so Ambosani is absolutely three boxers. It's only Duke Micah who has progressed to the next stage of the competition. And the mood in camp now is like as it was, you know, everybody is down, and I think that we're just hoping that Duke Micah will progress to the next stage of the competition.
All right, Tony, thank you very much, and keep monitoring the events in London. We'll be coming to you for latest updates. And that was my colleague Tony Bebley, and you heard it here first. Ghana has recorded a third defeat in boxing. Suleiman Atete lost to his Puerto Rican counterpart, Rican Antonio Ortiz Marcano, in the men's flyweight round of 32. And so Duke Micah happens to be Ghana's only medal hopeful in the area of boxing. So Margaret Simpson, Vida Enim, and Ignatius Geza will be getting ready for the athletics competitions. And that will do it for the London 2012 Olympic update.
And that's how we end this edition of Joy News. It's been an exciting one, and we invite your company again tomorrow. My name is Evans Mensah.
And I am Kemini Nyamani Aman.